What's going on, guys? This is Dumb Orange 927 here, and here today, guys, I'm presenting my next video, and today I am giving my review for Star Wars Battlefront. Okay, first thing, I apologize that this is late, but my last video explains why I haven't been able to produce content lately. So, with that out of the way, I feel like I might as well get into the game now and get my thoughts, because I basically played the game long enough to justify my opinion, which I have positives, but I also have negatives. So, okay, let's get this out of the way. So, let's start with the good points about this game. Okay, first thing I have to say about this game is that this game basically looks breathtaking. Okay, I have never seen a game with graphics this amazing. I'm not saying the graphics are perfect, but they are definitely, easily, in my view, one of, if not the best looking game of 2015. Okay, the only game that is even comparable to this, in my view, is the new Tomb Raider. That is the only game for 2015 that I find even comparable. This game looks great. Like, if I judge this game just on the graphics alone, this would be a freaking 10. Not to say that the graphics are perfect, but they're basically a masterpiece of graphics. And same goes for the level design. Not the level design, the sound design. The sound design also deserves a 10. I'd give that more of an 8, just because the voice acting is very awkward. So that's probably my issue there. But despite that, the presentation of this game is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. I honestly could not think of a game that looks and sounds as beautiful as this right now. So that's my first thoughts about the game. Second thoughts, gameplay is solid. Now, not to say it's perfect, I have many things to discuss individually, but in terms of how the game plays, in terms of how everything plays out and works, it works really well. And a lot of things have improved from its beta. That is kind of ironic. I thought literally nothing was going to change, but they actually improved in quite a bit of good areas. Now, not as much compared to BO3 and Halo 5, but still quite a bit. So that's my next good point. The gameplay is solid. In terms of gameplay, I mean gunplay. You fire a mix of hip fire and aim down sight. They have the first and third person perspective. Now, I do think playing in third person gives you an advantage. One, because first person seems a tad bit clunky to me. Just a tad bit. It's not one of those things where I find broken. Maybe it's just because I'm used to playing the game on third person. But I think it just feels slightly clunky. And third person has a bit of an advantage just because, you can see more. You have more awareness. You can see around cover and stuff. So I think that's also there. So I think they might have to balance that a tad bit better. I think one way to balance it would be if you play in first person, your guns are slightly more accurate just because you see through it better. I think that would be a better way to balance the first and third person, but overall, that's still very solid though, and the option to play as both is really nice. Next thing about this game, basically all that, the gunplay, the graphics, the sound, that's really about it when it comes with the good points, or at least the good points on its own right. There's some good points, but they'll be mentioned with the bad points. So, let's get on with the negatives about the game. Okay, I guess I'll work my way from the minor stuff and then go up to the major. So minor complaints. There's a bit of balancing issues between like Rebels and Empire depending on the mode. Like I feel like, for example, Fighter Squadron and Turning Point give the Rebels a huge advantage. Like, I mean, a huge advantage. It's like not one of those minor things. It is a really big advantage for the Rebels. And then other modes like what's other good examples? Like, okay, Walker Assault, the Empire has a bit of an advantage, but that's just because they're supposed to. But I feel Walker Assault's a bit better balanced. Heroes versus Villains as well has a slight imbalance. Like, honestly, in terms of it, the skill is what really matters, which can cause the match can go either way. But I think the Empire has the edge in the Heroes versus Villains. So, that's the next thing. But like I said, that's very minor. So, my next complaint, which, is that I don't like how the classes and the vehicles work. I don't like it. I don't think it's really that well designed compared to the original Battlefronts. Like, I don't like how you have to get power-ups for vehicles. Because, no offense, it just contradicts some of the point in even having the vehicles. Because the original Battlefronts, driving around in the vehicles and stuff, was half of the fun with the experience. And now that fun is significantly limited because essentially you have to get lucky and find these things. And even if you find them, it's not guaranteed you're going to get them because either someone else is going to go get it, or a lot of times even when you do end up getting it, you have to activate it and stuff, and you'll more than likely get gunned down in this. Like, I really find that unfair in that sense. Like, I am willing to accept that for heroes and villains, just because that kind of evens a playing field better. But for vehicles, I find that very bad, and I'd rather it just go back to the original Battlefronts or aka Battlefield. I'd rather them just do that. And as for the class, it's like Battlefront was really unique in the sense that, well, it was really unique on its own right of the fact that it had multiple infantry classes that you could pick from, and each would have their own strengths and weaknesses. And now they're kind of just doing another, like, custom class where you choose your gun and your ammo and everything else. Which, okay, I'm aware customization has to expand, but could they have just done it the way Battlefield 4 did it? Like, would it have been difficult for Battlefield 4 to honestly... Not Battlefield 4. Would it be difficult for Battlefront kind of to do the same route as Battlefield 4? I don't know. I honestly don't know. So, that being said, I really don't know. But, yeah, so that's my next complaint with it, I guess. Okay, so now let's get into basically the meat. Okay, so let's get into the next flaw. There is like no single player of this. Like, there is no campaign. What the crap? Okay, before people go like, it's not like the originals had a campaign. Bullcrap. Battlefront 2 had a campaign. Okay, yes, the campaign wasn't the best, and it easily was not the highlight of the game. But that just because it wasn't the most well received in the past doesn't mean you just say screw it and the new one. You don't do that. And you also just gotta wonder of that, because there's no... So, okay, there's no campaign. So what single player options do we get? Okay, we get a survival mode, a tutorial, and battles. Battles is basically kill confirmed. That's basically all it is. You just kill AI, collect their tokens, the end. You can either play as a regular soldier or play as one of the heroes and villains for that. Survival. It's really what it just sounds like. You just survive waves against stormtroopers. And then training is basically just a tutorial. That's really about. So that's all the single player has. And also, I've checked and researched, it roughly takes you only an hour and a half to complete all the single player options. 1 hour and 30 minutes? Like, really. So, there's really no single player option, so that's the next flaw. And I would be okay with no campaign if it wasn't for the fact, where is instant action? You know, the single player mode where you can just play against AI and the multiplayers, like, basically play multiplayer except with AI? Where is that? Okay, speaking of that, where is the AI in multiplayer? The original Battlefront had AI in it. I don't know, but okay. So, that's the next flaw. So, lack of AI and no single player. Okay, so I guess that means EA and DICE want us to turn our attention to multiplayer. Okay, fine. What do we get? Nowhere near the amount that is required amongst a Battlefront game. Okay, so, alright, let's get over the modes. Alright, so, basically, the two modes that are basically the meat of the multiplayer, in my view, is Supremacy and Walker Assault. Both of these modes are, because they're basically the only modes that try to capture the epic Star Wars battles with 20v20, with all these explosions and vehicles and heroes. They're the only ones designed for that. So let's just go over them. Supremacy is sort of like, okay, I get now it has turning points, so I guess I'll add that. Fine, I'll just add that. But, okay. Supremacy is basically it's basically like Conquest from the original Battlefront, except there is only 2 capture points per turn. What basically happens is there are 2 capture points, one that belongs to you and the enemy. You have to capture the enemies, and if you do that, the enemy's capture point becomes yours, and then the enemy has to fall back to their capture point, which is further on. Then we have, after that, Walker Assault. Walker Assault is a 20v20 mode where it's basically an escort mode where the Empire has to protect their AT-AT to get to either a rebel transport or a shield generator or whatever. And they basically have to protect that, while the rebels have to basically activate these satellites, which will call Y-wing bombers to make the AT-AT temporarily vulnerable. So that is the 2 big scale modes, which honestly are the only 2 modes that are remotely in depth with quality. Arguably. Okay, so now let's go over the other modes. Which I guess... Okay, so the next mode that I guess I'll talk about is Fighter Squadron. Fighter Squadron is a mode where basically it is what it sort of sounds like. Both teams operate starfighters. For the Rebels, that's the X-Wing, while the Empire, it's the TIE Fighters. And they basically have to, fight each other with that. And occasionally shoot down transports. That's really the mode. Which, is all well and good, except it's just like, why, for something that's not really in depth, why did they even remotely bother? You know, like I said, it's great to have the immersion, but it's like, what is sort of the point? Because there's like nothing you can do there. It's like, where is like the capital ships and stuff? Where is all that? Where is the cruisers that you get to board each other and sabotage and stuff? Where is dang space battles is my question here. Like, really, it's just really stupid. Okay, it's just remotely stupid that they think this mentality that it's okay to not have this stuff. Where is the campaign? Where is Galactic Conquest? Where is space battles? Where is the standard modes of Star Wars, such as Conquest, such as Assault? Where is this? Where is all this stuff? Where is Clone Wars? I don't know. Like, this game is just lacking in content. Even now, yes, they have Battle of Jakku, which is nice. But what good does that really do? It just adds one map. Okay, so... okay, back to the subject. Fighter Squadron is just like, it's not even that in-depth. And honestly, it's really, each fighter and stuff really just feels the same. There's not even really uniqueness. In fact, the Rebels actually kind of have an advantage there, because the Rebels have shielding that the Empire doesn't really counter with anything. So, yeah, and basically everything else by terms of the standard modes are just Blast, which is essentially team deathmatch. Cargo is basically capture the flag. Drop pod is basically king of the hill, and droid run's basically your moving king of the hill. It's really just, everything else is just kind of generic. Now, Turning Point exists now, but like I said, that mode is kind of broken just because of how unbalanced it is. It's really the Rebels game there. Plus, Turning Point only has one map. Instead of designing all 5 of the planets to account Turning Point, they just do one. Oh, gosh. Okay. Now, there are 2 hero-oriented modes. There's Hero Hunt and Heroes versus Villains. Now, Hero Hunt is basically one hero against everyone else. Now, I don't enjoy playing Hero Hunt because really that one forgoes strategy. Basically, it's just whoever lands the killing blow is the one who becomes the next hero. You know, it's a very flawed design decision, and I much think it would be better if they made it where whoever inflicted the most damage out of everyone himself would become the next hero. I think that would make more sense. Because really it just encourages people just to hide until the hero's low on health, and then they go out and try to kill him. You know, it's just stupid. Now, Heroes versus Villains, I used to not really enjoy that much. I used to not really like Heroes vs. Villains, but then I grown to love the mode. Because you actually feel like you can do something. And it's fun rotating between all the heroes and villains. Like I said, the Empire has a slight advantage, but it can really go either way. And the heroes for each side is, well, for the Rebels, you got Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia. For the Empire, which Luke can basically tear through people with his lightsaber. Han is basically the guy who gets a bunch of awesome blasters, and Leia can spawn power-ups and health kits for the soldiers. So that's the benefit of all 3 of them. For the Empire, you got Darth Vader, who just tears everything apart in his path. You do not want to mess with him. You got the insanely powerful Boba Fett. And then you have the hilarious Emperor. Which, I'm not kidding. The Emperor is like the funniest guy to use, even though he sucks in this game. Like, literally, he's just like, unlimited power. Oh crap, it's Luke. Shock troopers, protect me, please. That's literally him, which is hilarious. So, that is practically the Emperor. Yeah, heroes versus villains I've grown to love. Now what's... But it's just, none of this does much good because, okay, the recent Battlefronts on the PSP and stuff also had a heroes versus villains mode. You know, and that one was actually a bit better because it was like, there were more heroes and villains, so everyone basically was able to play as a hero and villain. And it was just cool. Wow, this just doesn't really have too much. In fact, that's just really the biggest problem with this game. It's just, there's not much to do in it. Halo 5 and Black Ops 3 have so much more content than this. It really does. Oh, but there's one thing those two games don't have compared to this. They don't have the diorama mode, which is basically just what it sounds like, a diorama. It's literally just images of guys. And it's just like, that is just a waste of developer time. I just don't get why they even add that. And I guess I'll talk about the last thing, the customization. Honestly, what customization? Like, okay, as for weapons and stuff, okay, they have only a total of 11 weapons. That's right, 11. And you know what's even more sickening is that, if you guys don't know, whoever pre-ordered the deluxe edition got the last gun that you unlock, which is essentially the most powerful gun in the game. It is easily the best gun in the game. And it's the DL-44, Han Solo's gun. And literally, that is like that is the best gun in the game. And they get it instantly just by pre-ordering the deluxe edition. That sickens me. It really does. And then the next thing we have is these star cards, which is kind of the version of just perks and abilities and stuff, which is just kind of dumb. I just don't get the purpose behind it, honestly. It's just kind of stupid. Like, I don't and the power-up system, like I said, for the vehicles and stuff, I just don't get why the power-ups are even there. It's just bullcrap. The power-ups, I really don't like them. They really have no purpose in the game. And honestly, they actually kind of suck even graphically, because it's like they clash with the realism of the environments and stuff. It's like you have these cartoony looking power-ups mixed with these realistic character models and environments. It's like, really doesn't make sense. And as I said, for the customization, like, let's talk about the personalization, I should say. Customization for your character, like the look of him. What customization? Okay. You have an option of generic dude number 1, who... like, generic dude number 1 versus generic guy number 2. And all of them have an option of either having a regular hair, bald, or a beard, or the mix of bald and a beard. That's really all it is. And the two best, like, basically all the best things, like, for the Rebels that's playing a certain alien species, and for the Empire that's just really good armor and stuff, you don't get those till, like, the last few dang, ranks in the game. It's really just stupid. Like, honestly, that's just like all this is just a slap in the face to Star Wars Battlefront, like to the original Battlefront fans. It really, really is. And it shows that basically everything by design decision has been so dang casual friendly. Like, this is not a game that is like the original Battlefronts. Or even Battlefield, which I really would have rather had. Just a reskin of Battlefield. Which it really isn't. It, like many keep saying, this is just a reskin of Battlefield 4. It's not. In fact, this game, in my view, has more in common with Call of Duty than anything else. In fact, I take that back. This game, because Call of Duty is basically just the casual friendly, game that's just been, basically it's designed for people that don't have much of a skill gap. I'm not saying Call of Duty and stuff takes no skill. I'm just saying Call of Duty has a very compressed skill gap. And this game really applies the same way. And honestly, in fact, I take it back. This game is actually more casual than Call of Duty. That's right. I never thought that day would come where a different franchise, with the exception of Titanfall, would succeed in being more casual friendly than Call of Duty. I never thought that day would come. Look, it's not that the game is bad, okay? I really felt like I was getting negative in the end. Look, I have fun playing the game, but the problem is that I only have fun for a time. Honestly, I am only able to play this game enjoyably in short bursts. I could not even imagine myself playing this as a main game till the next Battlefront comes out. I could not. And not only that, but half of the content is so missing, which a lot of it is hidden behind that dang $50 price season pass. The cost of a second game will get you more maps, some new modes, and maybe some new stuff. Look, the more I think about it, the more angry I get. So I better stop here, okay? And like I said, this isn't a bad game. But I see people keep praising this game to death. Or at the very least, giving it a sympathy point or two. Just because it's Star Wars. Well, not for me here. The final rating for Star Wars Battlefront EA is a 6 out of 10. It has the potential to become more. But honestly, I am almost inclined to give it a 5. Like, if this was not a Star Wars game, like, if you reskin this and just made it a single not Star Wars game, I'd give it a 5. But just the fact that the graphics hold it up, the sound effects hold it up, and the immersion of Star Wars holds it up, I will give it a 6. But honestly, this is the total definition of what I consider an average game. It's not horribly bad. It's not in particularly good. It is an average game. And honestly, unless if you're buying this for a sales price, buy it for a sales price at $30 or less. And unless if you're doing that, don't bother. I regret the $60 purchase I made. And, don't make the same mistake I did. If you guys have money that you want to spend on a Star Wars thing, spend it and watch Star Wars The Force Awakens. That is my recommendation. Okay? So, if you want to spend some money on Star Wars, watch The Force Awakens again if you haven't already. Okay? Because if this game, unless if you can buy a used copy for $30 or less, don't bother. Okay? So, because this is remotely an average game. Just all these flaws are just really terrible, and it really makes me mad. Hopefully, in the upcoming DLCs and the sequels, this problem will be fixed. And Battlefront 2, 3, 4, whatever, okay? So, until then, guys, I'll see you next time.